Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Pakistan votes to elect a new government amidst polarization, terrorist attacks and economic crisis. Israeli Prime Minister rejects Hamas's ceasefire proposal, insists on total victory over Hamas.
Security required total victory over Hamas. We cannot accept anything else.
Lower House of Indian Parliament passes finance bill, completes exercise for interim budget 2024-25. Pakistanis vote on Thursday to elect a new government amidst terrorist attacks and economic crisis. The election comes almost 2 years since the previous Prime Minister, cricketer turned politician Imran Khan, was ousted in a no-confidence vote. Khan was later jailed on corruption charges and is barred from standing. Three-time Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is on the ballot, while other major party in the fray is Pakistan People's Party. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the 35-year-old son of former Premier Benazir Bhutto, is also running an aggressive campaign in an outside bid for the top office. Results have to be released within 2 weeks. Although Pakistanis are voting for a better future, but they continue to live in the shadow of terror. 2 explosions near electoral candidates' offices in Pakistan's southwestern province of Balochistan killed 26 people and wounded dozens on Wednesday. Islamic State claimed the responsibility for the blasts. Authorities have boosted security at polling booths. Considering the same, countries' western border crossings with Iran and Afghanistan have been closed and will reopen on Friday. As Pakistan goes to polls, a rise in terrorist activities, a struggling economy and questions surrounding the vote's credibility are dominating the discourse. Defense experts in India say that polls offer little hope for near-term political stability.
Balochistan, it's particularly bad because both in the Baloch areas as well as the Pashtun areas, there's a lot of resistance to Pakistan out there, and people don't identify themselves with the elections. So I think there is this wave of violence which has taken over. There have been smaller attacks which have escaped the attention of many people on candidates, on their offices and others.
We know the result. Now tomorrow in Pakistan, the one who is going to win is not a candidate, and he is the army chief, Munir. And he is not standing for election. Whosoever becomes prime minister, whether it is Nawaz Sharif or the young Bhutto, real power is held by the army chief, who is not standing for election.
From all accounts, these elections on 8 February are not just the most predictable, but also the most rigged, because it's clear for everyone in Pakistan, if you see the commentary that is coming from within Pakistan, that the election results are clear, that the army in various ways is doing pre-election engineering, it will probably do some election engineering and post-election engineering to get a government that it wants in place, and it is said that it will possibly be a selection of Nawaz Sharif and his PMLN party. So I think that is the widespread expectation, and that's fairly accurate.
All right, DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us with more. Akshay, Pakistan is holding 12th national general elections, and we also know how multiple crises are plaguing the country. There are varied views coming in with regard to the expectations, and also we've given a broad outline as to how the political parties are placed in the country. You spell out more details about what do we expect with regard to the prospects of the political parties for these general elections.
Well, Preeti, very good morning to you. Yes, the 12th elections in Pakistan are underway right now, and what we are seeing just ahead of the elections started yesterday, we saw the kind of attacks that took place in various parts of Pakistan, which several people have died as well. That gives out an idea that what kind of security situation is already prevailing there when the chief election commissioner Raja had already asked authorities to provide all sort of arrangements as far as providing security to the voters are concerned. The kind of messaging is clear. We are seeing how experts are reacting to the elections that are happening in Pakistan, and that they have pointed one thing right, that ultimately it is going to be the person who is elected by the army that may have more chances to win with the kind of political uproar that we have been seeing, the kind of turmoil that we have been seeing in Pakistan. It is clear that the country hasn't learned lessons from its past as far as the questionable past of elections are concerned, of not even a single government able to complete their tenure in this in the past history of Pakistan, the past 75 years, while India and Pakistan both in fact got independent on the same time at the same time, while one country is a thriving democracy, the other is a questionable democracy, with none of the prime ministers being able to complete even a single tenure so far, and the army meddling in the affair while maintaining that they are not political as far as the political matters are concerned, has not been a secret. It has been an open secret for the rest of the world as well. And what the way prosecution of Imran Khan took place in the country, the way how Nawaz Sharif tried to meddle, try to mend his ties rather with the army, and how the entire prosecution of Nawaz Sharif in fact turned upside down. That clearly shows that it is not the political leaders who are in fact running the country, or for that fact running the elections. It is a greater power, and it is no hidden secret that what that greater power is in Pakistan, given the fact that unless and until the army agrees with a political party or their view, it becomes difficult for the elected leaders to in fact deliver onto the tenure that they have been given. And that exactly remains the biggest question, that even if the elections are completed and a leader is chosen, will it make any difference? Because when Imran Khan was elected as the prime minister, there were hopes in Pakistani awam or Pakistani janta that whether Imran Khan will be able, or rather he will be the first leader to in fact complete a tenure as a prime minister. But it happened exactly as it has been happening so far. And now the question remains is that who is going to be the leader, and whether anything will change as far as the country is concerned, the democracy is concerned in the
All
South
right.
Asian nation.
Akshay, now we also know how the electoral process there is being touted as being rigged, and also how not many hopes are being pinned with regards to the commentary that has been coming in from within Pakistan. One point. Secondly, let us understand more from you as to what are the challenges that are faced by the new government, and a new government in Pakistan. What does it mean for India?
Well, India is also closely monitoring the elections, given the fact that it has had a strained relation with Pakistan because of the terrorist activities Pakistan has been involved in. One of the most important thing, Preeti, that remains to be seen is about the economy of Pakistan, because just ahead of the elections, Shehbaz Sharif, the caretaker, Shehbaz Sharif, brother of the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and also himself being the former Prime Minister, he has clearly mentioned that once the new government comes, the biggest challenge for them is to go to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to bring economy on the right track once again. So the talks of economy being brought on the right track has been going on for decades now. It hasn't happened. Every time there is election, a hope is given to the public that the next government, when it comes, it will go to the IMF or it will go to the World Bank. It will ask for a newer loan to pay out the older loans. So it has become a loop right now as far as the economy of Pakistan is concerned, and it remains to be seen that how the government plans to break it, because so far they haven't laid out any strong plans. The narrative has mostly been anti-India during the election rallies in Pakistan. Perhaps that has been the only talking point for the political leaders. economy or development or growth hasn't found a much place as far as the political rallies are concerned, given the fact that the narratives that are dominating are either religious dogmatism, or it has been anti-India sentiment, or rather it has been, or on many occasions it has been bashing the opposition parties, and not much has been spoken on the economy of the country that is in tatters right now, given the fact that inflation is currently soaring high. People are not having enough, many of the people don't have enough income that they have to spend even on the basic necessities. So these are going to be the primary challenges, Preeti, once the new government comes in, whether it is Nawaz Sharif, or it is Junior Bhutto, or it is somebody supported by the PTI chief Imran Khan, who is currently in jail. That remains to be seen, that what the government is going to do, but there are immense number of challenges, and it seems that the focus of the government is already in the wrong place.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And from here, we now turn focus to Israel-Hamas war now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday rejected Hamas's latest offer for a ceasefire and return of hostages held in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian terrorist group Hamas has proposed a ceasefire of 4.5 months, during which all hostages would go free. Israel would withdraw its troops from Gaza, and an agreement would be reached on an end to the war. Calling Hamas's position delusional, Netanyahu renewed a pledge to destroy the Islamist movement, saying there was no alternative for Israel but to bring about its collapse.
Peace and security require total victory over Hamas. We cannot accept anything else. Can you imagine what will happen if we don't have total victory? Hamas leaders have already pledged they'll repeat the October 7th massacre over and over and over again. No nation can accept that. We certainly won't. Without total victory, Iran and its terror proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, will be emboldened to subvert moderate states in the Middle East. They'll threaten the entire free world. Only total victory will prevent that. And total victory is within our reach. Military pressure led to the release of 110 hostages, and only continued military pressure will bring home the remaining hostages.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that Hamas's proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza has clear non-starters, but leaves a space for an agreement to be reached. The top U.S. diplomat earlier met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and discussed the Hamas counter-proposal to a ceasefire proposal. He has been conducting intense shuttle diplomacy, crisscrossing the Middle East on Tuesday in his fifth visit to the region since the deadly Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th. He also held a meeting with leaders of Egypt and Qatar, the two countries mediating the hostage negotiations with Hamas.
We had an opportunity today to discuss with the Israeli government the response that Hamas sent last night to the proposal that the United States, Qatar, and Egypt had put together to bring the remaining hostages home and extend the humanitarian pause. What I can tell you about these discussions is that while there are some clear non-starters in Hamas's response, we do think it creates space for agreement to be reached. And we will work at that relentlessly until we get there.
Meanwhile, a U.S. military strike on Wednesday in Baghdad killed Kataib Hezbollah commander Abu Bakr al-Sadi, who was responsible for attacks on American forces in the region. The strike came as the U.S. has been planning retaliatory attacks against Iran-backed militants who launched a drone attack at a U.S. outpost in Jordan last month that killed 3 American soldiers. From here, we turn focus to Russia-Ukraine war now. On the second day of his visit, European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Ukrainian presidential office said both the leaders had discussed accelerating artillery ammunition supply and a draft law on mobilization that passed first reading at Ukraine's parliament on Wednesday. Borrell also discussed EU military and financial support with top Ukrainian officials, as the official said that they faced an acute shortage of ammunition and artillery shells with renewed assaults on several areas. He discussed Kyiv's progress on reforms in its bid to join the 27-member bloc.
we agreed on creating the condition to accelerate the delivery of ammunition and missiles. And it is a work in progress. It's accelerating, and by the end of the year, we will have donated to the Ukrainian Armed Forces 1,155,000 ammunitions. The dynamics is growing up.
The White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said White House is focused on getting a Ukraine aid package through the U.S. Congress on Wednesday. He added that we believe we still can and will deliver aid for Ukraine.
At the end of the day, there is no alternative to the United States stepping up to the plate and providing a level of resources that allow Ukraine to have the artillery, the air defense systems, and the other capabilities they need. And time is of the essence in this regard. So we are going to stay focused on that, and we believe that we still can and will deliver it.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Slovaks protest against government's criminal law reform, which will grant indemnity to corrupt politicians and businessmen. Dengue outbreak in Rio de Janeiro as residents prepare for carnival celebrations simultaneously. We'll tell you about a special gift offered as a Valentine's Day campaign by the Bronze Zoo.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you more international updates. UN nuclear watchdog chief Rafael Grossi visited the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in Ukraine on Wednesday. Grossi welcomed the reduction in shelling around the plant and said there were enough wells at the site to supply cooling pools used by the power plant. The IAEA also rotated its team of observers who are permanently stationed at Zaporizhzhia. Grossi said an inspection of water supplies was important after the destruction of the Novakhovkova hydroelectric facility last year.
Integrity of the plant has been relatively stable. There have been less episodes of direct attacks or shelling around it. The water situation related to the availability of enough, precisely, water to ensure the cooling function of the facility. I was able to look at the wells that have been drilled to provide the water that has been in deficit here after the episode at the Novakhovka dam. The issues related to the staff and the necessity to ensure sufficient availability of licensed and authorized staff has also been part of the discussions we've had here at Zaporizhzhia.
People gathered in the center of Belgorod on Wednesday to honor the memory of 20 of the city's residents who were killed in December during strikes blamed on Ukraine. The commemoration was held as the Russian Defense Ministry said Russia's air defense systems had destroyed 7 Ukraine-launched rockets and 2 drones over Belgorod's southwestern region. The Ukrainian strike was carried out with Czech-made Vampire rockets. Belgorod Governor Rashlev Gladkov said 2 people were also injured. U.S. Senate Republicans blocked a bipartisan border deal that had taken months to negotiate, but said that they could still approve aid for Ukraine and Israel that had been tied up in the deal. Senators in both parties are now engaged in an urgent round of talks to see if they can reach an agreement that would allow the chamber to open up a debate on a foreign aid package without the border security provisions. Former President Donald Trump has been pressing his fellow Republicans to reject any compromise as he campaigns to defeat Democratic President Joe Biden in the November election. Almost assured victory awaits former U.S. President Donald Trump in the upcoming Nevada caucuses, further cementing his pursuit of the Republican Party's presidential nomination. In a significant setback, his rival Nikki Haley suffered defeat in the state's primary, losing out to the none of these candidates option. Our correspondent Kate Fisher provides us insights into the distinct ballot systems for Haley and Trump in Nevada.
This confusing situation is down to a clash between Nevada's Republican Party and the state's government. Nevada's had a caucus for decades, but Democratic lawmakers in the state passed legislation to switch the caucuses to a primary, since it's generally a more efficient way of voting. The state Republican Party opposed the changes and decided to hold caucuses anyway, and to recognise the winner of them and not the primary. Donald Trump is expected to win Thursday's caucuses decisively. But Nikki Haley suffered a humiliating defeat in the primary on Tuesday, despite facing no competition. In the absence of Donald Trump's name on the ballot, she received fewer votes than the none of these candidates option. Well, she didn't make much of an effort to campaign in Nevada, saying that the process was, quote, rigged for Donald Trump. Even though Tuesday's results were effectively meaningless in the Republican race, they're still being seen as an embarrassment for Nikki Haley. She's been busy campaigning in what her team is calling the states that are fair. The Republican primary in her home state of South Carolina will take place later this month. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Thousands of Slovaks protested outside the country's parliament on Wednesday against government plans to lower punishment for corruption and scrap a prosecution office that probes high-profile crimes. Slovakia's parliament is expected to vote on the proposed reforms on Thursday. The legislation introduced by Prime Minister Robert Fico's government has been criticized by the opposition, which says will grant indemnity to the corrupt politicians and businessmen with links to the ruling parties. Fico's government says its planned reforms are necessary to modernize the criminal code and end what it calls excesses at the Special Prosecution Office. The plan is being pushed through in a fast-track procedure and has raised warnings from the European Union and United States. An ex-naval port called Shenzhen in Albania is set to receive African, Asian and Middle Eastern migrants from Italy. Now, this comes as a part of a deal which will allow Italy to build migrant processing centers on the territory of the Western Balkan nation. The deal is expected to be ratified by Albania's parliament on Thursday. It is the first example of a non-European Union country accepting migrants on behalf of a European Union nation. Under the deal, the total number of migrants present at one time in Albania cannot be more than 3,000. Chile's former president, Sebastián Piñera, lays in state in Santiago on Wednesday, where friends, family and the public paid their final respects ahead of the state funeral on the 9th of February. The former president died at the age of 74 following a helicopter crash into a lake in southern Chile on 6th of February. Piñera served 2 terms as Chile's president from 2010 to 2014 and from 2018 to 2022. Nicaragua's government on Wednesday said that it has granted political asylum to Panama's former president, Ricardo Martinelli. The ex-president is currently facing a lengthy prison sentence in Panama. He had requested the protection at Nicaragua's embassy in Panama City on the basis of political persecution and imminent risk to his life. This comes after Martinelli had announced another run for presidentship in May this year. He served as Panama's president from 2009 to 2014. Last week, Panama's top court rejected Martinelli's appeal to annul a nearly 11-year prison sentence due to a conviction last year centering on money laundering charges. Rio de Janeiro residents are preparing for a dengue outbreak, a deadly disease spread by mosquitoes, just days before carnival celebrations. Officials have scoured the Ladeira slum for potential mosquito breeding grounds, taking samples of larvae from stagnant water and advising residents on precautions against infection. The Ministry of Health reports more than 300,000 cases and 265 deaths under investigation, nearly 4 times more than the first 5 weeks of 2023. Authorities have warned revelers to stay in dengue-free areas.
The goal is to intensify the fight in potential breeding areas, in other words, places with stagnant water where the mosquitoes can spread. It's very important because we are going through an in dengue cases in the city, and it's very important to avoid and reduce the numbers of mosquitoes so as to control the diseases.
Moscow experienced a heavy blizzard on February 7th, with snow blanket expected to break a quarter-century record. Traffic remains complicated due to limited visibility. Municipal authorities recommend motorists switch to public transport and clean streets. Snowfall is caused by cyclone Olga, which will affect many regions of Russia in Europe and Asia, according to meteorologists. 2 police officers were shot and injured while responding to a shooting incident in East Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. The suspect was barricaded inside the home, but shortly after, a fire erupted, causing severe safety concerns. Emergency personnel evacuated residents and SWAT teams intervened to assist. The fire ravaged homes in less than an hour, and fears over the safety of the child and the assailant grew. Police are currently conducting investigations. Volunteers in Chile are providing crucial aid for people displaced by devastating forest fires in the country's central Valparaiso region. Over 40,000 people have been affected by the fires that started last Friday. Chile's National Disaster Risk Management Department said that nearly 30 institutions have mobilized their resources and expertise to extend a helping hand to those in need. Temporary shelters have been set up to house hundreds of displaced people, while local residents are volunteering their time and skills to assist in post-disaster reconstruction. According to a report on Tuesday, death toll from the forest fires had risen to 131. The wildfires burnt over 9,700 hectares in the Valparaiso region amid a heat wave that has swept the South American country this summer. The first ever European Union-India dialogue on countering the use of unmanned aerial systems by extremists and non-state actors will take place in New Delhi on 8th of February. The day-long EU-India roundtable seeks to better understand the range of current and emerging threats, particularly involved with consumer-grade UAS technology. Participants from the EU and India will also discuss best practices regarding regulatory, tactical and investigative responses to addressing the UAS threats in both the regions. This roundtable is part of a series of ongoing counter-terrorism engagement between the EU and India, building on recent activities under the EU project enhancing security cooperation in and with Asia. In October last year, the EU Commission issued a communication to the Council and European Parliament on countering potential threats posed by drones. The document sets out EU's commercial drone policy for the next several years. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world now. A young sea lion was returned to the ocean after recovering from a neck injury from a fishing net on the Argentine coast. The animal was malnourished and dehydrated and a deep cut to its neck. Rescuers warned of the devastating impact of sea pollution, including stray fishing nets on the ocean's ecosystem. The 20th anniversary of the Puppy Bowl will be celebrated on February 11th with a simulcast across multiple platforms. The event will feature 131 puppies from 73 shelters and rescues across 36 states and territories. Animal Planet has partnered with brands to enhance the experience and drive awareness for animal adoption. Fans can engage with event through multi-platform elements.
And star running bark Francine anxiously waiting for her number to be called.
Alpine has launched their 2024 Formula One car in Enstone, aiming to improve on last season's sixth-placed finish in the Constructors' Championship. French pair Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly will return to the team, having finished 11th and 12th in the Drivers' Championship in 2023. Mick Schumacher, son of F1 world champion Michael Schumacher, will join Alpine's endurance program. The Bronze Zoo is offering a Valentine's Day campaign where anyone can name a Madagascar hissing cockroach as a gift. The campaign, which began in 2011, raised $1.1 million for the Wildlife Conservation Society and Bronze Zoo. The campaign includes a digital certificate, a virtual meetup with a cockroach, roach socks, and a plush. Monarch butterflies in Mexican overwintering forests experienced a 59.3% decrease in the presence between 2023 and 2024. Now, this is the second smallest area occupied since 1993. Factors include high temperatures, droughts, reduced milkweed availability, herbicide and pesticide use, and North American land use changes. A short break ahead, but after the break, delve with us after the break into a space odyssey, the 3-day space seminar and exhibition DefSat that kick-started in Delhi. Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister Professor Biman Prasad upbeat to become the first foreign leader to offer prayers at Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Indian Army conducts mock drills for disaster preparedness in Jammu and Kashmir's Kargil.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you updates from India now. India's President Draupadi Murmu will be inaugurating a 4-day cultural extravaganza, Vividhata Ka Amrit Mahotsav, a cultural odyssey unveiling the richness of Northeast India at the Amrit Udyan, Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. The event is being held as part of Udyan Utsav 2024. The event has been curated to showcase the rich diversity of the Northeast, blending traditional art, craft and cultures under one vibrant umbrella. The Mahotsav will witness the participation of more than 320 weavers, artisans, farmers and entrepreneurs from the Northeast. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing the program marking the 150th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada. The Prime Minister will also release a commemorative stamp and a coin in the honor of great spiritual guru Srila Prabhupada, a founder of Gaudiya Mission, who played a pivotal role in preserving and spreading the fundamental tenets of Vaishnava faith. Bangladesh Foreign Minister Hassan Mahmood, who is on his maiden visit to India, met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi on February 7th. Both the ministers reviewed the progress in wide-ranging areas of bilateral relations, including cross-border connectivity, economic and development partnership, cooperation in defense and security, power, energy, water resources, and people-to-people exchanges. Discussions were also held in areas of future engagement in line with national development goals of the two countries, including the visions of Viksit Bharat 2047 and Smart Bangladesh 2041. The two leaders also exchanged views on regional and multilateral issues of common interest. They expressed commitment to further enhance their collaboration to promote sub-regional cooperation within the framework of BIMSTEC, IORA and BBIN. Earlier, Foreign Minister Mahmood visited Rajghat to pay homage to Mahatma Gandhi. He also held meeting with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. During the visit, Foreign Minister Mahmood will also call on President of India and hold a meeting with Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal. He will travel to Kolkata on 9th of February before concluding his visit. Guyana's Prime Minister Mark Phillips, who is visiting India, called on President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi. Discussions centered around enhancing cooperation in various sectors such as trade, investment and cultural exchange. Both the leaders expressed their commitment to furthering the existing friendly relations between the two nations. Welcoming the Prime Minister and his delegation, the Indian President said that there is a need to further diversify our bilateral trade basket. Earlier in the day, Guyana's Prime Minister also met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Both the leaders discussed partnership in the fields of economy, energy, security and development cooperation. Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, Professor Biman Prasad, will become the first foreign leader to offer prayers at the newly built Ram Temple at Ayodhya, where he travels there on Thursday. The temple was consecrated by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on January 22nd. In an exclusive interview to our channel, the visiting minister said that the historic event invoked feelings of identity with India, the country of his forefathers.
You will write your name in history books by becoming the first foreign leader to visit the new Ram Temple at Ayodhya. How does that make you feel?
Well, Ram and Ramayana have been an integral part of Hindus who left India many years ago as part of indentured laborers. So with them, they carried Ramayana, Gita, and others, carried Quran and Bible. So all those people who left India under the indenture system, which the British executed to take Indian laborers to British colonies elsewhere. So in Fiji, in particular, Ramayana, Gita have always been part of the Hindus' existence and their identity. So when one talks about Ayodhya, it immediately invokes the great feeling, the recital of the epic Ramayana, where Lord Ram returns to Ayodhya. And Diwali is a national holiday in Fiji, celebrated to mark the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya, after 14 years of exile. So it does invoke a lot of yearning, emotion, and the feeling of connectivity and identity with India. So yes, it does invoke a lot of emotional ties with India.
All right, you can watch the entire interview at 8:30 p.m. That is 1500 GMT on Thursday, the 8th of February. Let's get to other updates now. A 3-day space seminar and exhibition called DefSat began at the Manekshaw Centre in New Delhi on Wednesday. The event was inaugurated by India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan. Australia's High Commissioner to India attended the event. DD India's Akshay Dongre gets us this report.
DefSat, a 3-day space seminar and exhibition, was inaugurated by Indian Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan in Delhi. An exhibition showcasing various technological advances made by private space industry partners was also inaugurated at the venue. The CDS emphasized that the government is encouraging all the stakeholders, including startups, for development of a dependable space ecosystem in India.
We had only one startup when we all started this in probably 2014. In 2023, we have about 204 startups, with almost 54 of them joining actually in the year 2023 itself. As a nation, We have invested close to 123 million in this sector, bringing our total funding to almost about $380 billion.
Australian High Commissioner to India, Philip Green, who also attended the inauguration ceremony, highlighted the growing relation between India and Australia in space sector.
For us in space, India is a natural partner. India is emerging as a tech giant. It is, as I say, a strategic partner. And it is clearly emerging as your plans and your successes in space demonstrate a leading power in space exploration and engagement.
SIA India and Space Industry Association of Australia fostered their relations further by signing of a Memorandum of Understanding aimed at enhancing collaboration and fostering mutual growth in space industry between the two nations. India has established itself as one of the most advanced space powers in the world, and now it is making huge strides toward building defense space capabilities for the future generation to meet the challenges and explore the opportunities in this arena that remains vastly unexplored. And all of this is being done in line with the goal of a self-reliant India and a developed India in 2047 that is being done with the help of a joint public and private partnership in this domain. With camera person Manmohan Amakshi Dongre, DD India.
Lok Sabha, the lower house of Indian Parliament, on Wednesday passed the finance bill moved by India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The finance bill was moved post the announcement of interim budget by the Finance Minister to take care of the government spendings till the new government formations post the general elections slated to be held in the next couple of months. It will now be introduced in the Rajya Sabha, that is the upper house, for recommendations. The finance bill in this year's interim budget does not propose any change in the tax structure, as the final budget will be tabled in July after the 2024 general elections in India. On the 7th day of the budget session, Rajya Sabha, the upper house of Indian Parliament, will continue the discussion on the interim budget. The Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2024 will be introduced in Lok Sabha, the lower house of Indian Parliament, through which the scheduled tribe list of South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh is to be amended. Also, the Constitution Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2024 to amend in Odisha will be placed for discussion. Apart from this, India's Environment, Forest and Climate Change Minister Bhupendra Yadav will present the Water Pollution Prevention and Control Amendment Bill 2024. Rajya Sabha has already passed these three bills. All right, to get us more details, we're joined by our correspondent Vikas Sarthi from New Delhi. Vikas, you just given a broad outline of the legislative agenda and business that will be taken up by both the houses of Parliament. You spell out more details. How do you expect the day to be ahead?
Right, Preeti. So these three bills, as you just mentioned, these bills have already been passed by the upper house, the Rajya Sabha, and now today Lok Sabha will take up these bills. As far as the budget-related activities are concerned, you just mentioned that finance bill was passed yesterday, and with that, interim budget has been passed in the Lok Sabha. Now, Rajya Sabha is discussing provisions of interim budget. Once it is over, it will be returned to the Lok Sabha. And another bill, Preeti, which was brought to the lower house recently, which was related to prevent the paper leak incidents and use of unfair means in the competitive examinations. That bill is likely to be taken up by the Rajya Sabha today or tomorrow. Apart from it, as you're just aware that the session has been extended by one day. On Saturday, we expect that Finance Minister will bring a white paper on the state of economy during UPA regime, that how, as the Finance Minister says, that 10 years were lost due to inaction and policy paralysis of UPA government. So on that day, the budget session will be over with that white paper in the House and discussion on the mismanagement and the inaction on the part of UPA regime in a decade which Finance Minister said was a golden decade for the Indian economy, and because of that incompetency of the UPA, the country has lost golden 10 years for making India one of the largest economy in the global economy.
All right, Vikas. Yes, we also know that the session of the parliament has been extended by a day. But also, what do you make of the opposition's stand? Because we've seen there has been ruckus in parliament owing to the intentions or the protest of the opposition. So, how do we expect the stand of the opposition in the days ahead?
Right, Priti. So, though there was some opposition MPs were making some kind of ruckus in the House earlier, but we saw that there were no adjournments because of that disruptions, and we expect that once the session is over and chair in both the houses will give facts and figures that how many hours there were productivity in both the houses, the outcome will be much better than the previous sessions. Since we are already in an election year, and you recall that Prime Minister on very first day said that people are watching how their representatives are behaving in the House, and opposition MPs should participate in the proceedings rather than disturbing the important legislative work, and particularly the budget related activities. So it seems that opposition is also aware that they are in an election year, and any kind of irresponsible behavior in the House will show them in poor light, and because of that we saw that there was not much disruption from the opposition MPs. And other thing is that both the houses chair revoked the suspension of several MPs because this session was particularly important since there was a joint address of President to the joint sitting of the houses, and interim budget was to be discussed. So because of that reason, chair in both the houses decided that these suspension must be revoked. And after that, we saw that now opposition MPs are not bringing any kind of placard as advised by the chair in both the houses.
All right, Vikas, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. And from here, we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The Indian Army, in collaboration with District Disaster Management Authority, conducted a mock drill exercise in Kargil of India's Jammu and Kashmir. The exercise was a disaster preparation exercise and involved participation of many departments, including health, revenue, mechanical, and fire and emergency services. In India's Jammu and Kashmir, the government has established a high-tech snow control room to effectively tackle any snowfall situation. The facility is equipped with latest technology machines made of all types of snow clearing operations. Each year, the snowfall in Valley affects the connectivity in the region. The move aims to provide connectivity during winters as well. A Delhi Rouse Avenue Court has issued a summon to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to appear before it on the 17th of February. The court was hearing the complaint filed by ED for non-compliance of 5 summons issued to Kejriwal in connection with the ongoing probe in the Delhi liquor policy scam. A short break ahead, but after the break, giving directions to the country's economy, RBI to announce monetary policy today. Jasprit Bumrah bowls the world over to shine as the #1 bowler in the latest ICC rankings, becoming the first Indian bowler to achieve the feat. Stay with us as we get you more after the break.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. And up next, we get you updates from the world of business. India's central bank, the Reserve Bank of India, will be announcing its monthly monetary policy today, giving directions to the country's economy for the upcoming months. Now, the central bank had convened its bi-monthly monetary policy committee meeting on Tuesday to take stock of the country's macroeconomic situation. The 6-member RBI committee, headed by the bank's governor, Shaktikant Das, has been deliberating upon multiple macroeconomic factors of the Indian economy, including the repo rate that has a bearing on the country's interests and lending rates. Governor Das will be announcing the Monetary Policy Panel's decision in some time from now. For the last 1 year, the RBI has kept the interest rates unchanged at 6.5%. The last hike was effected in February 2023. The central bank has announced a 0.25% hike in short-term lending rate to cool down rising inflation. All right, let's get more inputs from DD India correspondent Shama Mishra joining us from Mumbai. Shama, good morning. The MPC will be announced today. Let us understand from you, and not speculation, let us get more on you as to what will be the deciding factors that will be in the mind of the RBI governor when he took decisions for the RBI policy.
Well, Preeti, for starters, the two major pointers that will be affecting the entire decision of the MPC would be growth and curtailing the inflation, controlling the inflation. We also understand that currently the inflation is out of the target range, of the comfortable range of the RBI, which is 4%, and it is above that. The CPI inflation is above that. So the aim would be to control the inflation, and the move could be deflationary. Also, we understand that you've already mentioned that if the status quo is maintained today, then it will be a whole 1 year RBI not changing the repo rates, the key lending rates, and that is how the EMIs will also not get affected if today the status quo is maintained. Apart from that, we are also looking at the stance of the RBI, the stance of the MPC, which is likely that that withdrawal of accommodation would be retained. That means over there also they would be slowly shifting the focus towards increasing the rates, but not for now. So withdrawal of accommodation would also be retained. It is likely. Apart from that, the experts are also of the view that there will be some more months where RBI would not be decreasing the key lending rates, and we could only see the increasing numbers or increasing rates by end of July or later than that. Apart from that, we are also understanding that various projections, the CPI inflation, the GDP growth rate, what all would be there. We have to keep a close eye on that. What the projections are being announced, because we understand that GDP has been projected at 7%. So is there any change in that? That will have to be looked after. Apart from that, the CPI inflation projection will also be something where the governor or the RBI would show that is it in a comfortable range? That would it be coming in a comfortable range in coming months? How the monsoons that have already gone, or how the winters have affected the crops, the sowing, all these would be there in that report. And like we always hear from the governor, some quotes of Mahatma Gandhi and some quotes of great men. So we'll also have to keep an eye on that as well.
All right, we leave it here, Shama. Thank you for joining in with those details. And despite US Fed's clear-cut indications of deferment of rate cuts anytime soon, Wall Street's major stock indices rose on Wednesday, with the benchmark S&P 500 scaling a record high as investors applauded overall strength in US earnings and monitored policymaker comments for clues on the interest rate outlook. With more than half of the S&P 500 companies having reported quarterly results, 81.2% surpassed profit expectations, according to the data released by leading global financial markets, infrastructure and data provider LSEG on Tuesday. The S&P 500 gained 40.83 points or 0.82% to end at 4,995 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 147.65 points or 0.95% to 15,756.64. Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 156 points to 38,677.
Seems like coming through most of the quarterly earnings calls and results, we're seeing, I think, better than expected results. We've seen a fair amount of beats, both in top line revenue and earnings per share. But underneath that, we're also seeing, I think, better guidance from some of these companies than investors had expected. It is starting to kind of separate a little bit of the quality companies versus some that might not be in such a good position. And really for us, that's going to be those companies that have low debt levels, good organic growth metrics, better margins at the end of the day. We're starting to see those companies combined with better forward guidance get better treatment in terms of price appreciation in this moment.
Let's get to updates from the world of sports now. Jasprit Bumrah has become the first Indian to reach the top spot in the ICC Test Bowlers rankings. Bumrah's rise follows a match haul of 9 for 91 in the second Test against England in Visakhapatnam, where he was named player of the match as India leveled the series 1 each. The previous highest ranking achieved by an Indian fast bowler was number 2 on the retrospective Test Bowlers table by Kapil Dev from December 1979 to February 1980. Apart from Bumrah, Zaheer Khan has also occupied number 3 spot in October-November 2010. Second seed India's Sumit Nagal stormed his way into the quarterfinals of the Chennai Open 2024. The 26-year-old defeated Italy's Giovanni Foneo 7-5, 6-2 in an hour and 21 minutes on Wednesday. After beating his Indian opponent, SD Prajwal Dev, in the first round, Nagal also showed his class against Foneo, who fought hard before throwing in the towel. The 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games in Italy have unveiled their official mascots, Tina and Milo, at the San Remo Festival. Now, Tina is a light-coated stoat, while Milo is a brown-coated mascot. The mascots represent the host cities, Cortina and Milano. The Olympics will take place from February 6 to 22nd, with the Paralympics from March 6 to 15th. And up next, experience the beauty and charm of rare exotic varieties of flowers in full glory at the Amrit Udyan Utsav 2024 underway at India's Prasar House in New Delhi. Entry to Amrit Udyan is free for all visitors, although online registration is required to secure a slot. It is open on all days except on Mondays. You can visit the iconic garden till March 31st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Alright, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.